Well, these days it seems that building and construction sites are popping up everywhere. But what if one is right behind your house and you don't quite like the sound of that? Well, one Mount Lawley resident shares his thoughts.
The owner of this 898 square meter block on Central Avenue has put a plan to the city of Stirling to demolish this house and build a 7-unit apartment at a cost of $900,000.
Yeah, our major concerns are with the area's historic value, and it's in a heritage protection zone. So the development scale and proportions directly impact the heritage value of our area.
Regan Whitby, who lives next door to the plot with his wife, has created a petition opposing the plan for development.
Petition's going very well. We've got a lot of support. All of the surrounding neighbours, and we're not just talking about adjoining property holders, we're talking about neighbours further afield and in adjacent areas, have all voiced their concerns and support for adjacent properties within the area to the development.
Mr. and Mrs. Whitby have nothing against anyone investing and making more money. They just happen to care more about their privacy and would prefer to enjoy the quiet life they have enjoyed in the area for the last 16 years.
Obviously have some privacy concerns, parking and noise concerns within the area. That's shared by most of the residents in the area. All have specific views on how they see it panning out as far as traffic, particularly parking, which has always been a problem on Central Avenue with limited parking and verge parking not being the right way to go. Yeah. We're certainly not against the development of the area. Obviously the house has got limited heritage appeal or value, but it means that for us we're looking for a balanced development.
Central Avenue, Mount Lawley, is only 10 minutes away from Perth City. Edith Cowan University is just down the road. You would think that it is logical for investors to utilize any land they have in this area to earn more money and fulfill Perth housing shortage as well. However, that logic doesn't work in favour of the neighbours.
Currently, the R codes would allow us to redevelop the rear of our block and put a 2-storey, 3-bedroom house if we chose to do so. Next door, they're putting 7 units up. So they've got 200 squares more, and they're putting 7 individual dwellings, whereas the maximum we can put here is 2 dwellings, individual dwellings. So it'll give you some idea of the scale of the development, which is what we're opposing.
The proposed plan for the Central Avenue development are currently with the City of Stirling for assessment.
There was submissions went forward before the due by date. I believe now, and I can't confirm it, but I believe now that the development application's been resubmitted to council, and we're waiting on verification from council to see whether we get another letter to indicate whether there's any variations to the R codes that they're planning on applying for.
In this scenario, almost half of all these dwellings would be required as unburned infield, such as Mount Lawley.
We've all put submissions forward. I think there's been about 7 submissions go forward to date, voicing their concerns with the area. If we can get it scaled down, ceiling height, second storey of 3 metres, so there's quite a big overlook in the area.
We contacted the developers for this block. This is the statement they sent us. The development proposed by Momentum Wealth is fully compliant with the residential design codes of Western Australia, estate planning legislation. 179 Central Avenue is also zoned R40, which allows the provision of up to 8 apartments on the block. However, the proposed design chosen by Momentum Wealth and our client only includes 7 apartments. I'm Giovanna Godrezere, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, this next story has certainly sparked my interest. A heritage walk through the streets of Northbridge, and Jade Hawley was lucky enough to go along.
The history of Perth is often forgotten by many of its citizens, who barely notice the cultural and historical diversity that is all around the city. The team at Heritage Perth offer tours to those who are interested in how Perth has changed over the years. Executive Director Richard Offen took us on a tour around Northbridge to see the influence different cultures have had on its development.
We're celebrating the multicultural society that we are. The earliest settlers other than the Europeans here were probably the Chinese, and during the gold rush a huge influx of people from all around the world, and many of them settled here in Northbridge. And they have shaped and helped to make Perth what it is today. And so we felt that it was important to show the history of this wonderful salad bowl of peoples from every nation that we call Perth today.
Despite countless redevelopments, Northbridge holds the vast majority of surviving historical buildings in Perth. However, it's the people of the early 20th century who made Perth what it is today.
Northbridge is the area where most of the ethnic communities settled in the 19th century and early 20th century. And there are so many different communities represented in this area. The Northbridge History Project, which was running until a few years ago, took oral histories from many people who lived in this area all of their lives. They recorded oral histories from nearly 50 different ethnic communities. So this is the melting pot where they all come together, and this is the centre, if you like, of ethnicity in Perth.
Commencing over Harmony Week, Heritage Perth's multicultural walks were designed to celebrate the diversity of the city. With 1 in 4 Australians now born overseas, multiculturalism has become a growing feature of Australian society.
We felt at Heritage Perth that it would be great to celebrate that with some sort of walk to show the significance of the area. And the Office of Multicultural Interests has developed a walk leaflet which you can get at the Tourist Information Office. And they have 3 walks, one here in Northbridge, one in the central CBD and one in East Perth. I think it's made a very significant contribution. The Chinese, when they came here in the 1840s, were great market gardeners. So they started producing food for the citizens. Others have been builders, others have been architects and lawyers, and they have come and helped Perth to find itself and establish itself. I don't think we could survive without all of these different nations. They all bring something to it. If you go to a hospital, most of the doctors and nurses are from around the world, and they contribute so much to society.
In an attempt to create a well-rounded society, Heritage Perth is working to protect the historical sites that we have. Richard believes the people of Perth need to be made aware of the culture and heritage we have in the city and should take advantage of its accessibility.
Wherever you live, you're too busy getting on with life to actually discover the history and the heritage of the place. So we're trying to help them to do that. And there's a vast appetite for learning about the place you live these days, and that's great. Even in a practical way, you drive down William Street and you've got just about every kind of restaurant and world food possible. So it adds to the richness of our society.
I'm Jade Hawley reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, yes, Easter was just last week, and there was a very special art installation installed just for that. Nadia Hunter took a look.
Today we are in the beautiful Gothic building Wesley Church in Perth CBD for an exhibition entitled Stations of the Cross, and I can't think of a more befitting backdrop. Hello Catherine, congratulations on curating this fantastic exhibition.
Well, thanks for coming. It's been a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you. And is there any standout pieces that you particularly love? I know it's hard to choose favourites, I know. But...
It is always hard to choose favourites, and in fact this year is actually, I think, the very first year where I think across the board all 15 artists have delivered in spades, and I really don't think there's one that's an off note. And I'm not just saying that, it's a really strong show with some really good artists, but it's always very exciting because invariably the artwork that we finally receive is not the one that we saw.
How did you find working with this for this exhibition?
I thought it was a fascinating experience because it kind of forces you to go a bit deeper within your thinking and apply things in what you may have seen in your real life with friends, going through journeys. So it was quite a interesting experience of sort of layering out thoughts and trying to build them into the work. My station's Jesus Falls the third time. So yeah, I wanted to sort of get a weight into the work and like a stone head of falling and sort of symbolic meaning, like and bring in computer grids and the idea of the church and light crossing a room and forming more computer shapes on the other side. I wanted to kind of give it obviously a contemporary look, but also there's affirmations of Renaissance and past artists, the way they looked at this whole genre of the Passion of the Christ.
The process began when I, was approached by Catherine, the curator for this show, and she asked me to do a piece for Station 10, which is Jesus Stripped. I knew I wanted to do a picture about the humiliation and the dehumanisation that Jesus went through before he was crucified. So, yeah, I've been using stones and rocks in my work for a while now. This is the first time I've started painting them. I knew this show was an Easter show, so I wanted the rocks to depict something that was fleshy, so I've used pink tones. I also they remind me of melted Easter eggs as well.
I was in here at 6 o'clock getting the tree in, and then suspending it, and then putting those little rocks on it. And
How were you able to suspend the tree?
Well, we had ropes, just roping it up temporarily, and then went and got the stainless steel cable when we got the orientation right, because I wanted to get that ellipse of stones to reflect the same ellipse on the ground. So they go up and they meet different points on the tree. So it's kind of like you have an organic object finding a resolution on a different plane. So that's what I kind of wanted with the work, that there's a kind of almost a divine element in a natural kind of motif, I suppose.
And so with the resurrection, I've got the green line where it's flatlining, and then you've got the small church, which is this one, and then you've got the bigger church, and then you've got the big cathedral at the end. So as the beats get bigger and stronger, and the resurrection of the actual faith itself gets stronger, so does the images. And all the plates are representing the little parishes, and the nails are the parishioners that keep it all going. And then that builds the whole, which is the representation of the crosses, which is obvious, but that builds the whole of the religion itself.
I'm Nadia Hunter. See you next time on West TV.
Well, I don't know about you, but it seems tonight's episode just flew right by. We're already working on all of our content for next week's episode of Undercurrent. My name is Christy Mollica. See you again then.